History of Asian art. What is Asian art? Asian art is a very old and very special. It comes from many different countries like China, Japan, India, Korea, and more. This kind of art includes many things like bronze, statues used in old ceremonies, beautiful pots and ceramics, paintings of nature like mountains and rivers, gold decorations, temple shrines and pagodas, shadow puppets, and the art of writing beautifully called calligraphy. Some famous old artworks are Travelers Among Mountains and Streams by Fan Kuan from China, 36 Views of Mount Fuji by Hokusai from Japan, and Art About Emperor Akbar by Basawan from India. Today, Asian art is very important all around the world. Since 1990s, many Asian artists have become famous. There are more art shows, museums, and events where they can show their work. Here are some famous modern artists. Number 1. Kai Gouqiang from China. He uses fireworks in his art. Number 2. Miwa Yanagi from Japan. She takes creative and powerful photos. Number 3. Su Duha from Korea. He makes houses and people out of fabric. Number 4. Rikri Tirinavaja from Thailand. He makes an art by cooking food and letting people join in. Famous artwork in Asian art. These 3 examples from 3 countries. Number 1. Japan. Art with trees, nature, and peaceful scenes. Number 2. Circular paintings with animals and nature. Number 3. India. Bright and colorful art that tells religious and storybook tales.
History of Western art. Western art history encompasses the evolution of painting, sculpture, architecture, and other visual arts from ancient times to the present day, primarily within European and European-influenced culture. This history is marked by distinct periods and movements, each characterized by unique styles and artistic approach. Art historians describe the history of Western art also in terms of successive periods and or movements including classical, medieval, Byzantine, Romanesque, Renaissance, Baroque, Rococo, Neoclassicism, Romanticism, Realism, Impressionism, Modernism, and Postmodernism. These are the history of Western art. First is Renaissance art in 1400 to 1600. So Renaissance art, these styles of painting, sculpture, and decorative art was characterized by a famous on nature and individualism, the thought of man as independent and self-reliant. Though these ideals were present in the late medieval period, these flourished in the 15th and 16th century, paralleling social and economic changes like secularization. The Renaissance reached its height in Florence, Italy, due in large part to Medici, a wealthy merchant family who adamantly supported the arts and humanism, a variety of beliefs and philosophies that places emphasis on the human realm. Italian designer Filippo Brunelleschi and the sculptor Donatello were key innovators during this period. The High Renaissance, which lasted from 1490 to 1527, produced the influential artists such as Da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael, each of whom brought creative power and spearheaded ideals of emotional expression. Artwork throughout the Renaissance was characterized by realism, attention to detail, and precise study of human anatomy. Artists used linear perspective and created depth through intense lighting and shading. Art began to change stylistically shortly after the High Renaissance, when clashes between the Christian faith and humanism gave way to Mannerism. Next is Baroque in 1600 to 1750. The Baroque period that followed Mannerism yielded ornate, over-the-top visual art and architecture. It was characterized by grandeur and richness, punctuated by an interest in broadening human intellect and global discovery. Baroque artists were stylistically complex. Baroque, pain- Baroque paintings were characterized by drama, as seen in the iconic works of Italian painter Caravaggio and Dutch painter Rembrandt. Painters used an intense contrast between light and dark and had energetic composition matched by rich color palettes. And next is the Rococo in 1699 to 1780. Rococo originated in Paris, encompassing decorative art, painting, architecture, and sculpture. The aesthetic offered a softer style of decorative and compared to Baroque's exuberance. Rococo is characterized by lightness and elegance, focusing on the use of natural forms, asymmetrical design, and subtle colors. Painter, Painters like Antoine, Anthony Watteau and Francois Boucher used lighter tinted treatments, rich brushworks, and fresh colors. The Rococo styles also easily translated to silver, porcelain, and French furniture. Many chairs and armors featured carving forms, floral design, and an expressive use of gilt. Next is Neoclassicism in 1750 to 1850. This art is name suggests the, ne- the neoclassical period drew upon elements from classical antiquity. Archaeological ruins of ancient civilization in Athens and Naples that were discovered at the time reignited a passion for all things past, and artists strove to recreate the great works of ancient art. This translated to a renewed interest in classical ideals of harmony, simplicity, and proportion. Neoclassical artists were influenced by classical elements, in particular a focus on idealism. In, Inevitably, they also included modern historically relevant depictions in their works. For example, Italian sculptor Antonio Canova drew upon classical elements in his marble sculptures, but avoided the color artificiality that was represented by many these early creations. And the next is Romanticism in 1580 to 1850. Romanticism embodies a broad range of disciplines from painting to music to literature. The ideals present in each of these art forms reject order, harmony, and rationality, which were embraced in both classical art and neoclassicism. Instead, romantic artists emphasize the individual and imagination. Another defining romantic ideal was an appreciation for nature, with many turning of plein air painting, which brought artists out of dark interiors and enabled to the paint outside. Artists also focus on passion, emotion, and sensation over intellect reason. Prominent romantic painters include Henry Fuseli, who created strange, macabre paintings that explore the dark reasons of human psychology, and William Blake, whose mysterious poems and images conveyed mystical visions and his disappointment and societal constraints. And the next is realism. The last one is realism in 1848 to 1900. Arguably the first modern art movement, realism began in France in the 1840s Realism was a result of multiple events: the anti-romantic movement in Germany, the rise of journalism, and the advent of photography. Each inspired new interests in accurately capturing everyday life. This attention to accuracy is evident in art produced during the movement, which featured detailed lifelike depictions of subject matter. One of the most influential leader of the realist movement is Gustave Courbet, a French artist committed to painting only what he could physically see.
Philippines art history divided into period. History of Philippines art. The history of Philippines art is described according to Philippines art period. And next is timeline. Pre-colonial art period, the first of art form expression presents Philippines before Spanish colonization in the 16th century includes various form and indigenous art such as carving, poetry, weaving, and body ornamentation. Reflect the many cultures, tradition, and different ethics groups in the Chicago. Spanish colonial art is big in Spanish colonial art lasting period so introduction European artists textiles technique techniques and many religions proposed course and religions icon were prominent subject and Filipino artists adopted these new forms while incorporating their own cultural elements. American cultural arts periods following Spanish-American War. The United States colonized the Philippines. This period saw American art styles such as landscape, painting, and poetry, while as establishment of art school institution that they promote Western art become education which post-colonial art period after the Philippines gained independence in 1946, Filipino artists begin to explore new forms expression reflecting national identity, social issues, or they saw various art movement and style artists through break the contemporary art composed art being created present day which raise stylist media and them often reflecting global trends and local expression gikuan nila sa mga uban para makita nila ang unsa ang arts ato ang Pilipinas uban pang bansa they contributes nila para makita jud nila unsa kahalaga ang arts involving landscape of Philippines arts pre-colonial art period age about this is you can see the image information about pre-colonial art period in the Philippines highlighting characteristics and influence outline period's timeline from age and mga pinasa na una pa lang na mga art naghihimo or mga kaning painting or kaning kuan nila forming arts and like i-craft nila decorate nila ang uban elements meaning and mga context this art is symbols daily activities like fishing and farming like community decorative patterns kana mga patterns na gihimo nila sa mga vase or mga nasa kuan nila sa kapintalan nila sa mga kamot or sa mga kuan nila sa una so they influence belief like mga belief nila na tsara daw mga kuan nila so that traditional art has regional symbols. Every activity such as fishing, farming, etc. or a specific decoration art pattern to the community. So, muna ni sila ang pasabot na ako na pattern sa mga ilang gipang buhat na mga tato-tato or giganahan sila kay art ba ya? So, na-influence sila sa art. It has either the influence or local region analysis is based in base na murag base picture na base na pwede ni makita sa mga antiko or mga sa mga museum na grabe ka importante. There is also exchange of artistic standard poses with the Chinese other as countries who frequents as traders which in the groups. So daghan kay mo trade sa mga vase, sa mga golds, mga bisag unsa para lang ma-influence nila, matsadahan nila ang mga ilang country kay grabe ka tsada kay gaya na ning other permaculture arts are poetry, weaving, tattoo. Daghan kay tattoo na karon gigamit nila sa mga bisag asa, jewelry, di ba? Gagamit ang mga kwintas na pwede nato anon sa mga kuan sa sing sa mga kuan, aritis, carving and metal craft. Muna sila ang mga kuan dapon ni sa face na gihimo nilang kuan. So metal age is 3190 to 1 BC. Spanish colonial art is reducing formal painting, sculpture, and architecture which is inspired the Byzantine, Gothic, and Baroque and Rococo art style. Makita ninyo na uban dyan nagka-pray na uban mga prayers nato nagigamit kung magkwanta pesa natin sa tawa na ng atong mga ilang gipang simbolo na makakuan daw na siya nga na makatabang. Most arts works are religions Catholic based. So mga Catholic daw ni sila art, diba? So makita ninyong art na mura siya mga gisimbolo nila ni para sa kuan sa Spanish colonialism lives in which the Filipino Antigua furniture and carving design. So ilang gihimo Japon ang furniture and gaya ng carving design na nila jud ang kuan para kuan jud siya pag kuan nila. In the information of elite Filipino class, the illustrado paved way for the rich locals to study abroad and more academic and western has been learned. So na uban nag kuan na sa study abroad kay daghan daw kayo makuanandad to ma-learn sa academic ay sa mga art na ilang gikuan kaya gikuan na rin na information of elites Filipino class. So next, the Filipino classicism form that borrows the nuclearism. So mo na sila gibaro nila ang umban basin mura ni gibaro nila ang nuclearism sa mga sa mga Filipino classicism. So next is romanticism and even hit of expressionism. So mo ni sila ang mga lahi ng mga art na makita ninyo sa mga diri sa among page. Na symbol, na carving design kanang gihimo nila. Nadya po na sa kuan pinakauna akong gibasa na image kuan picture like painting na pinakakuan nila jud na sadahan sa ilaha.
American colonial art period 1898-1946. The American brought irrigation and family formation with both following the American way of life. Alex Guillermo, Seeing Visual, 1994. Art illustration, advertising, and commercial design, guided popularly and incorporated in fine art. Painting them still largely favored derivating landscape and still life portrait Portrait are reserved for higher-rank official with a more academic approach make the subject formal. During this time, ang mga Amerikano nagpadala og edukasyon og mga value sa Pilipinas. Ilang mga impluwensyahan ang mga tao nga sumusunod Americano way of life. Art illustration, advertising o commercial design ni sikat og na-appeal sa fine arts. Ang mga tema na painting nag-focus gihapon sa genre painting, murag daily life screen, landscape o still life. Ang Woman Working in the Rice Field by Fabia de la Rosa nagpakita sa kinabuhi sa mga babae sa uma. Usa ka example sa genre painting, Palay Maiden by Fernando Amorsulo. Famous painting ni siya nga nagrepresentar sa ideal Pilipina nga nagkupot og palay. Proud og nalipayang trabaho. Obelition by Guillermo Tolentino, usa ka sculpture nga nasimbolo sa self-sacrifice. Gamit kay ni siya ni sa UP, University of the Philippines. Pegasus by Napoleon Abeba. Sculpture ni siya nga nagpakita sa Pegasus. Nagrepresentar og freedom og creativity.
So, post-colonial art period in 1946 to 1986. So, the post-colonial art period in the Philippines, also known as the Philippine Modern Art Era, is characterized by art that is modern, conservative, and experimental. It is reflect influences from Western movements like pop art and minimalism, as well as the development of a distinct Filipino aesthetic. So, art after the war, the growing and expanding Philippine art. Philippine postmodern art in the 1970s and 1980s was characterized by a departure from traditional art forms and a focus on social and political realities. Artists explored new materials and techniques addressing pressing societal issues through their work. This period also saw the rise of influential artists and collectives who challenged the status quo. In the Philippine modern art during 1946 to 1970, a period following World War II and the end of Japanese occupation. So, a shift in art styles and themes, influenced by both Western movements and a burgeoning sense of national identity. This era is often considered part of the broader post-colonial art period, which also include the 1980s and 1990s. So the pop art, installation art, and performance art were dominating the postmodern period of the Philippines art. So Philippine contemporary art from the 1980s to the present is a vibrant and diverse expression reflecting the nation's rich cultural heritage, social issues, and global influences. It encompasses a wide range of mediums, styles, and themes, including visual arts like painting and sculpture, as well as the other forms like digital art and installation art. Artists often engage with current events, technology, and globalization, exploring new forms of expression and challenging traditional boundaries.